Tucker Carlson parting ways with Fox News in just a stunning development. Don Lemon has also been terminated at CNN, less of a stunning development, but still big news. They had been standing behind him, notwithstanding so many controversies and the upheaval on that morning show and its terrible ratings and the way he was treating his colleagues. And Chris Licht was on the record recently saying, oh, only the old Don Lemon was controversial. He's changed all that. And then boom, you're fired? What? Why? What happened? Just a little bit of color for you, just following Twitter. Like Steve's, my own texts are blowing up and DMs on Twitter and so on. But Jeremy Boring, CEO of the Daily Wire, partner of Ben Shapiro, tweets out, I told you, he said it, a lot of people are asking if Tucker's coming here. We'd love to have him, but he's probably got other plans. Jeremy then tweets, a lot of people are asking if Don Lemon is coming to the real Daily Wire. Just kidding. No one is asking that. No. Don Lemon will not be going to the real Daily Wire. And then just this from Carol Markowitz, friend of the show, New York Post columnist, among others. And she writes, Tucker Carlson's one of the kindest, realest, smartest people I originally wrote in media. But no, anywhere. That's the thing about Tucker. He's been so demonized by the mainstream media, the leftist media. It's the same thing now. That people have this opinion of him, especially Democrats. If you're looking for a reason to hate pundits on the right, you've been given so many reasons, but are they real? Who is Tucker Carlson? In my experience, he is a gracious, delightful, kind, loving, loyal, great friend. And the racist accusations against him are just, all it takes is 5 minutes to actually look at what he did say to figure out, oh my God, how horrible is he? And you figure out, once again, they're pushing their own agenda and misrepresenting his words. It's not to defend everything that Tucker has ever said or his choices of words in all instances. But I'm telling you, it's been like a partisan hit job on him from the left from the moment he took over that post. And I'll tell you one other thing. The reason, in part, that Tucker was in that post is because I recommended to Lachlan Murdoch that he move him there. When I was leaving Fox, Lachlan and I had a good relationship, and he said, who do you think I should move into your spot? And I said, I would move Tucker. I said, he's brilliant. He does his homework. As you heard Steve mentioning, he's a reader. He's an avid reader and writer. I mean, he is not some guy who's just looking to be a news star. And he, at that time in 2017, Trump had just won, understood the Trump audience and the Trump voters in a way that was going to be really important for Fox over the coming 4 years. And not everybody did. Even though Tucker was more, I don't know, his background is more establishment GOP, you'd say, the old Tucker with the bow tie of MSNBC and CNN. Tucker got it. He understood exactly why Trump was resonating. And from early on, when he was weekend host of Fox and Friends. And I used to have him on the Kelly File all the time. And I'd say, my God, he's so smart. This guy gets it. He gets it in a way not everybody gets it. He wasn't the only one. I remember feeling that way about Byron York. But Tucker both got it and has this great screen presence and is really smart and able to deliver talking points, memo, all the stuff. So, but I remember when he took over that role, I remember I was getting my hair done and we were talking about it on the phone and he was saying thank you for the recommendation. I mean, he earned it 100%. It wasn't because of me. It was just I just weighed in. He said, thank you. And I said, hold on. You might not want to thank me. Because I know some things about this job that you may not know yet, that you're about to find out about really fast. And, the truth is it's an extremely toxic post, extremely toxic. And you can take that from me and times it by 100 from when he took over. During the era of Trump, as somebody who was open-minded to Trump and at times defensive of Trump. I mean, and Tucker's just not afraid. So all those things made him a huge target. And trust me, it has not been easy on him. He's a human being, notwithstanding what you might read in the New York Times. He has a family. He does get stressed by the threats on his life, on his family's lives. He's not just, he doesn't crumble easily at criticism or somebody, like The View laughing at him. But it's not an easy post. It's just not. So one of the many reasons I think he's going to be happier in whatever he does next. I guarantee he's not going to CNN. He's not going to pop up on the CNN morning show in Don's old slot. I'm sure he's going to go independent and crush it. Joining me now to discuss that lane and much, much more is Glenn Greenwald, Pulitzer Prize winning journalist and host of Rumble's System update. Glenn, your reaction to the news?
I mean, it's stunning in one way. It reminds me a little bit. I don't mean to draw this melodramatic analogy, but if you have someone and the doctor says, "Oh, the person has a lot of health problems. There's a possibility that they may become fatal," and then the person actually dies. On the one hand, you kind of expected it. It's not coming out of left field. There's reasons why it might have happened. But on the other hand, to actually see it happen when it actually happens, it's still quite shocking. And that's how I feel about this. It's not as though it's impossible to have perceived that there are differences and tensions between Tucker and Fox between Tucker on the one hand, Fox on the other. But for them to get to the point, and we don't know, I don't know, even as Tucker's friend, exactly what precipitated the events over the last few days, whether he quit, whether he was fired, whether it really was mutual. We're obviously going to find out. But I think it is really important to note that there are a lot of ideological divisions within the Republican Party in a way that is not true for the Democratic Party or the left. There's real ideological split. I mean, Trump in 2016 ran against the Bush-Cheney foreign policy, even Reaganomics as an economic policy, something that was unheard of. It split the establishment and the populist wing. And you could just watch in between the 8 o'clock and the 9 o'clock show on vital issues like Ukraine and the U.S. security state, the CIA, Julian Assange, all kinds of issues. Tucker had fundamentally different views than, say, Sean Hannity, who more reflects this kind of establishment, Republican, conservative approach. And I don't think it's appreciated the extent to which Tucker has become very ideologically heterodox and very much outside of the mold of, say, what liberal establishment institutions like to propagate about Fox, that it's nothing more than this mindless loyalist channel to the Republican Party or to conservative orthodoxy. In the case of Tucker and a few other people there as well, that's simply not the case. And those tensions clearly have been boiling over for a while.
I haven't been there since 2017, but that would have been a plus back in my day. They would have loved having a diversity of opinion. When I was on the air in primetime, it was me, Bill O'Reilly, Greta, Sean. Greta was a Democrat, as far as we knew. She didn't really talk about her politics, but if anything, her history had been more left-leaning. Sean, of course, Republican. O'Reilly was a populist, and I was an independent. And they loved it. There was that was good. It was good for America. Tucker, one of the things that's made him special is that you never know where he's going to come down. You can't always predict. Remember early on in COVID, he was like, take it very seriously. It's a very serious disease. I think it's going to kill a lot of people.
When he flew to Mar-a-Lago most people at Fox to tell Trump that. Remember, he flew to Mar-a-Lago to urge Trump to take it more seriously.
And then the Sidney Powell thing, that's what I was talking with Steve. How could it be Dominion that if they fired him, how could it be over Dominion? Yes, I realized there were some controversial texts, but he was the one who went out on the air and said Sidney Powell's a liar. You could argue he saved Fox from worse pain. That sort of gave the permission to a lot of others who had been holding out. You don't need to take this woman seriously. So, I just can't imagine his heterodox views did it. I could be wrong. I mean, I definitely could be wrong. I don't know this board, and I don't know the management anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little hard, but I think we're both a little hamstrung. When someone's your friend, you get some information in the context of the friendship. You don't want to, talk about that publicly because it's really up to the person to speak for themselves. But some things are public and visible. And I think the fact that it is so amazing, Megyn, that sometimes it really is frightening, the ability of the mainstream media to create a reality that people ingest that is completely the opposite of the truth. I guarantee you, if you asked most liberals, most Democrats, people who consume liberal media about Tucker's views of fraud during the 2020 election, they will tell you, privately he was saying he didn't believe it, but publicly he was endorsing it to please his audience, when the reality is exactly the opposite. We did an entire show on what Tucker was saying in real time. And as you just said, he went on a huge limb. He angered a large part of the Fox audience by saying, look, if Sidney Powell and these fraud claims are truthful, this is the greatest crime in American history. But we need evidence before we believe them. And you, the audience, should need evidence before you believe them. And Sidney Powell refuses to provide any. And that's leading me to believe that she's lying. That is the kind of integrity and the kind of willingness to challenge the agenda and perceptions of your own audience that is almost unheard of on the other cable networks. Megyn, when is the last time someone on CNN or MSNBC stood up and said something that was alienating of the Democratic Party and its leaders, or the liberal audience, the small but still loyal liberal audience that they cultivate? It almost never happens. Where are the differences ideologically on these other networks? So I don't know that this heterodoxy of Tucker is a factor in why this happened. We don't know yet. But what I do know is that it is very real. And if you compare Tucker and Hannity, obviously on some views, they have similar views, immigration or whatever. But on major, major issues, they have fundamental disagreements. And I think that reflects the fact that Fox is in a kind of position where it does seem to be wanting to move Fox away from the kind of populist, heterodox growth in conservative politics, MAGA or America First or whatever you want to call it, which Tucker, by the way, was not an absolute adherent of. He was critical of that at times as well, and kind of returned to the days when, I think it's more in line with supporting the Republican Party, the traditional Republican Party, the pre-Trump Republican Party of Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan. And we'll see who replaces Tucker, but I'd be willing to wager a lot of money that it's much more like, say, Hannity, who I'm not criticizing, I'm just describing where he is ideologically, than Tucker.
You could go to Brazil or Colombia or wherever and get some crazy stuff done to your face. But why would you do that? It's unnecessary. Now you can look years younger right before your very eyes during the Jennycell Mother's Day sale. And you don't have to get on a plane to make it happen. Here's a real review from Jennycell.com. Claire writes, I absolutely love Jennycell. My skin feels so good, tighter, younger, with a more even tone, and I only used it for a week. My advice for everyone, take a before picture. Her husband Jim writes in saying, wife loves it. Ever since I purchased it for her, things got much more interesting after dark. Enough said. It's true, nothing works like Jennycell because it's a family recipe for over 20 years, made by a compounding pharmacist in small batches and always safe, cruelty-free, and natural. Now, go to Jennycell.com/MK60 and save over 70% off Jennycell's most popular package, all their best stuff, during their Mother's Day sale. Every most popular package features their Ultra Retinol and their Dark Spot Corrector. Don't wait. Go to Jennycell.com/MK60, Jennycell.com/MK60, get a complimentary Spa Essentials box with every package order until Mother's Day, now through Mother's Day. Plus, free upgrade to priority shipping as well. GENUCEL.com/MK60. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.